Glamour.
Grit. Glamour.
Grit. Glamour. Grit.
Fundraising isn't about raising money. It's about raising hope. It's the fuel that allows Texas Health Resources Foundation to be a beacon of light across North Texas. Your generosity to the foundation has a profound ripple effect. It can fund life-saving care for a neighbor battling a chronic disease, offer vital support to a young mother struggling with a new diagnosis, or bring a vital program to families in need. Your contribution, big or small, has the power to open doors for our underserved neighbors. Will you join Texas Health Resources Foundation in providing hope to families? Your generosity will make an undeniable difference in the lives of people in our communities. To donate, please go to texashealth.org/foundation.
You guys, I am stopped all the time and I get the same question. What boots do you wear? Well, I'll tell you right now, it's an easy answer and it's always going to be the same. Tecovas. They are the comfiest boot, the best looking boot, and they last the longest. I've tried them all, trust me. There's amazing boots out there, but Tecovas takes it to the next level. Whether you're a cowboy, a longtime rancher, or a first-time boot buyer, Tecovas has the answer for you. I personally shop in the Fort Worth Stockyards location, but you can go online to tecovas.com, Tecovas.com, and check out all the boots for yourself. You won't be sorry, trust me, as a longtime boot wearer and somebody who likes comfort on their feet as much as they like to look nice, Tecovas is the answer. So don't waste any more time. Get to tecovas.com, buy you a pair, and then show me them online so we can compare. Because I've got most of them, but I want to see you guys rocking them too. You'll thank me later. Tecovas.com. Don't waste another second. All right, guys, welcome back. Glamour and Grit. It's Monday, and
Which means Celebrity Monday.
It does, but for me, it means an amazing friend is here. I can't stop smiling. I'm a little partial on this episode because I just got to spend a month with this person filming a epic Western, and her and her daughter just gave me so much love in life, and I'm just so excited to have her here today. It's just such a blessing. So obviously she's an actress. She starred on a bunch of different television shows, 90210 and Empire. She was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Insane.
With Quentin Tarantino, with James Landry Hebert, who we also had on the show last season, who we all three just filmed this Western together, which is just small world happening. She starred on Broadway. She's also a dancer. I can say that because she won Dancing with the Stars, which is insane.
Won it.
Not runner-up.
No, won the whole thing.
Won it.
And that's people's choice. So
As
that's
a
really big
non-dancer
deal.
coming in and killing all the other dancers, I can't wait to get into that. But she's an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She's doing the most for everyone in the world. And she's the most incredible mother. And I can't wait to share stories that I got to experience firsthand about all of that. So let's just bring her in and get talking. Rumer Willis, how we doing, girl?
Guys, that was the best intro I think I've ever had. I need you to come and whenever I'm doing something. Just
I'm pretty badass.
I gotta just start by, how is little Lou, the love of my life?
I know.
Dude, honestly, being on set with you guys and seeing other people, obviously when you're a parent, you love your kid, but the pride that you have when you see other people, you guys with her was such a dream, and how much she loved you guys was the most tender
but it really
thing
is true.
I've
My
ever
best
seen.
friend told me, she was like, I knew I loved you as a friend, but then the way you loved my daughter, our friendship, Natalie said that, your friendship's an even deeper.
Oh, when you see someone you love your person?
Yes. And she was like, I saw you love my daughter. And she was like, I knew, this is all before we had kids. And she was like, our friendship was even deeper because of that.
Well, it's just so sweet. It's the first movie I had ever done where I brought her, and, I was going through some crazy transitions in my life, and had no idea what we were walking into in the middle of summer in Arkansas. And literally, I think the first night that we all went to dinner, Luetta was like, oh, these are my new friends. Yeah, she was like, immediately went to Eric, was like, I think you're a dad. I feel your vibes.
We
Like, I'm
clicked
coming to
immediately.
you.
The craziest
It was
part to
so-
me was she's not just on a set. We're shooting this insane Western in 110-degree heat. We're shooting guns every day. There's blood all over Rumer. There's blood on me. There's blood on all the actors. And she just doesn't even bat an eye. I mean, just giddy, happy to be there and bringing so much joy, and as if she had been on set her entire life.
No, that is amazing because Molly Morgan, obviously we took her and Eric was putting the blood and Molly Morgan was like, why are you doing blood on my dad? Why is like, it just like really blew her mind that he was getting all blooded. Because I don't think my kids have never been to set. They always kind of think daddy's a cowboy. So it's like, okay, why is daddy a cowboy now with blood on him? What is this life? But Lou was like, I've been around the block.
I know, I thought she would get freaked out that day that we had that huge fight scene, but it was cool because I remember going on set with my dad when I was a little girl, and he was always had, crazy, crazy makeup on his face. But the thing as we got older, like we would go into the makeup trailer and be like, all right, I want a cut or I want a black eye. Like, come on, give me, which of course I think still plays out every day. I was like, I think one more punch, Eric. Let's find a way so we can beat each other up a little bit more. But she was so cool with it. I love though when the kids came to set and Molly Morgan was like, so what are you guys doing? Okay. Yeah. And why is he shooting? She was very curious.
And still talks about it. Is like the
going on.
timeline and like the execution of everything. That is our little philosophy child right there.
And I'm still trying to, figure out how to juggle the work life and the family life and the intertwining of it. You just brought up that you remember being little and being on set with your dad. How was that for you growing up? I mean, were you very involved? Did they try to keep it separate? Or were you do you remember growing up and being on their sets and
Because y'all were in Idaho, right? When you were little?
Yeah. So basically, we had like a place in New York, and I think when I was super, super little, we lived in Malibu. And then, which I'm still devastated sometimes that they sold that house. I like drive by it on the PCH and I'm just like, oh man. But they found a place in Idaho, and so that was kind of our home base. But then I didn't go to a full year of school, I think, until fifth grade. So we, for the most part, were either on set with my mom or on set with my dad, and kind of flip-flopping back and forth. Now, mind you, my basic math skills are kind of crap, and I don't know if I'm the best at articulating, writing like a formatted essay, but I got to see amazing things. I think when, we're in the line of work that we are, I think it's an opportunity for your kids, right? They get to go on set and meet incredible people, see amazing things, depending on where you are. As a kid, it's like a field trip every day. You get to have so much culture and get introduced to different people that you might not ever meet. And I don't know, especially now as a parent kind of looking into school in general, there's a part of me that feels more in line with the like homeschool, school-free adventure kind of enriching.
Totally.
And until they're older, right?
Well,
unless your kid wants to.
Now, and you and your
a
sisters,
physicist
did you
thing.
always go as like a trio together? Or would sometimes like one sister go with one parent, the other sisters would go? Or is it like...
I think we all kind of went as a unit, but we would have special days, right? So I think I was telling Eric this one day on set that, when Momo gets a little bit older, or Mick does, that, we would have, sometimes your call time is, like 5 or 6 in the morning. And so when we would all be there, sometimes we would have days where like one girl got to go with dad or mom, like early at set. So then that was like special. You got a little bit of extra time. You got to see like the breakfast and the makeup chair and all that. And then
Is
the
it
other two
wild?
would
Like
join
once
later.
you got older, were you like, because that was your norm. That's all you knew. And I think even Molly Morgan, I'm like, she lives a fairly normal life, but what we do isn't normal. And so it's so interesting. Like, was that time, did you ever be like, oh my God, my life is a little different? Or it's just at all, you never thought twice about it?
I mean, I think that there was part of me that wanted, the I don't know what it like a Leave It to
Totally.
Beaver in my mind, right? Whatever I thought that was. But now I'm so much more grateful for the experiences. Like I remember when my dad was shooting this movie called Heart's War, like we were in the Czech Republic and we got to go to this weird little glass blowing factory. Or, my dad was shooting this movie was Cole Hauser actually called Tears of the Sun in Hawaii. And so we went and we're in Hawaii and we're going to, explore there. And
Oh,
I don't know, you just get to see so much. And as a kid, I think that's important if your kids have an opportunity to do that or be around horses or be around, I don't know, just different
well, you were
people. I
like the
think it's
bucket. Do you know the
absolutely
bucket
worth
list
it.
family on Instagram? You were like the bucket list
Oh,
family before there was the
yeah.
bucket list family. I'm like, you got to see
Yeah,
all the cool things.
exactly.
And that's what they do. And those kids are spectacular. I mean, they are just so, like y'all, unbelievable children.
Hey y'all, let me just interrupt for 1 second. I got to tell you about something. As someone who's out on the road a lot, having the right gear makes all the difference. That's why I've got a UWS crossover box on my truck. It's my favorite thing I own. I don't want to live another day without it. It's more than just having extra storage space for your stuff, which there's a lot of. It's about having reliable organization you can trust each and every day. Listen, these boxes are assembled right here in the good US of A, and you can feel the quality every time you open that rigid cord lid. If you're looking to upgrade your truck with the best, head over to the UWS website at uwsta.com. Find a dealer and get yours installed today. Trust me when I say your tools will thank you.
The Fort Worth Film Collaborative is a film workforce development certification program to address the growing need for trained film industry crew in the greater Fort Worth area. The one-of-a-kind curriculum will provide students a pathway to employment in the film industry. In August 2023, the Fort Worth Film Commission and Tarrant County College, in partnership with 101 Studios, launched the program, which will foster local talent and build a robust film workforce in Fort Worth and Tarrant County. Tarrant County College will serve as an educational backbone of the Fort Worth Film Collaborative. Leveraging their state-of-the-art facilities and experienced faculty, the college will provide a platform for students to gain an understanding of the film industry and develop practical skills essential for success in the film industry. The Fort Worth Film Commission and Tarrant County College also worked with several local entities on this project, including Red Productions, Out of Order Studios, MPS Studios, and Paravision. Local industry experts contributed to the curriculum with instructional videos, including a gaffer, location manager, professionals in key departments, including hair and makeup, accounting, key grip, and camera. To learn how you can take part in the program, please visit tccd.college/film. For more information on the Fort Worth Film Commission, visit fortworth.com/film.
Did you find that production was, especially, this is years ago, so was it a very welcoming environment? Did they I feel like sometimes my nerves are getting them there and then feeling like, oh my God, they're going to make me feel like they're in the way and like it's slowing down production or this, that, or the other. Did you feel it was like a welcoming place for a kid? Like, was it always a good experience?
Yeah, I mean, yes, but you have to also preface it that it's maybe a little different for us, right? We're still maybe people might not think this about me, but we're still kind of coming up in a certain way. I was on set with people who were top of the call sheet. So it's but also, it was always welcoming because I think you kind of know when, right? Like if we were shooting a scene that was super intense or someone needed to be emotional or whatever, I wouldn't necessarily bring her to set that day. But, if there's a big action sequence or, the day that you guys brought the kids, I think that could be a fun day for them because they get to see cool stuff. So I think it's a balance. It's all just about kind of, I think, intuitively kind of feeling it out. But I feel like just from knowing you a little bit, Eric, I think you have to just not be afraid to take up space and encourage them to be a part of your world, because that is part of you, and sharing that with them, I think, is so important so they can like know
100%.
you in
Oh,
that
and what
way.
I love about you, and I think about this all the time, is we've kind of done the thing where I go work or Eric goes and works. And I kept being like, oh my God, Rumer is doing, like, in my mind, the mom and the dad. In a sense of like, okay, well, Eric
Yeah.
goes, like, I know it's hard for him when he comes back because he's like, oh my, it's a transition. We had to have a long talk in the sense I was like, he's like, I feel like I'm coming into your home with the kids. And I'm like, it's such an interesting balance of, the working parent. Well, you're doing both. Like where you are doing, some would say the working parent during the day, and then you still have to be mom. How do you balance that?
Yeah.
Because even in my mind, I'm like, sometimes I'll even tell Eric, I'm like, I need like 30 minutes by myself. Like where you didn't get that. It's like, did you have to prepare yourself for that? Where you were like, okay, if I'm bringing her, it's going to be both worlds combined at the same time. Does that make sense? You really can't ever check out.
Totally. I mean, no. And I think what was, she's still so little. She's only like 16 months. And so the idea of not bringing her with me, especially because she's still breastfeeding, which seemed so crazy. I didn't think of another option. I think also because that's what my mom did with us. So it just kind of inherently was in my mind to do that. I think the hardest part was I was not prepared for the heat. The first day on set, I ended up in ER because I had like dehydration and heat exhaustion because we were in this like tiny, tiny little room and just not drinking
I
enough
was about to
water
say
and I'm
double
breastfeeding.
whammy
So,
with
like
breastfeeding too.
yeah, so it's all. And I'd seen Eric roll up with this like massive water
It's
bottle.
probably
And I was
right
like,
there,
man,
too.
this is like, yeah, I was like, this is a big old jug. And that was the first night that I think I've ever slept away from her because thankfully, so my nanny when I was a little girl, Madison came to help me while I was shooting, and thank God because she raised me in a lot of ways, and I trust her so much with Luetta. But she was like, I'm going to take her tonight so you can sleep
Oh
because I
my
had to show
God,
up
I
to
can't
work the
even
next day.
imagine.
It was wild, and so that balance of going, okay, how do I take care of myself so I can take care of her and also show up for this job? I think that was a kind of interesting balance, and you get all of that kind of
Yeah.
mom guilt and am I doing the right things? But I knew that she was being taken care of, and she would come to visit pretty much every day and hang out and come see all of us. And I don't know, I guess like for me, I feel like it's a really weird intuitive thing that because I have an amazing support system really helps me
Totally.
do what I
And
need
I
to
was
do.
you recently announced on your Instagram that you and your partner, you're co-parenting now. As that, and especially with a
Yeah.
baby, it's like, 16 months, to me, that is a baby. That is like, it's how,
She is a baby.
do you have any
100%.
advice too? Because I think it's really extremely important too for moms out there, especially young moms and working moms, is like advice for
Yeah.
anybody out there when it comes to that. Because I think a lot of people are in situations too where they don't want to leave a situation because they have a baby. And they're like, can I do this by myself? Can I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, are staying, or I'm going to have to parent full-time and work full-time and do. And I think when you shared that on your Instagram, I think that was extremely vulnerable and really cool because people don't really, that is so, to do it with a baby too. It's, people want to know that they can do it. And they look at people, you put yourself on a platform where it's like, if she can do it, I can do it. The women who shaped the West changed the world. And the one place on earth where you can see that and experience that is at the National Cowgirl Museum located in Fort Worth, Texas. As the only museum in the nation dedicated to telling the stories of women from all walks of life, yet with the same love for the land, the horses, and their traditions, you will not find a better place to visit to be inspired. With over 33,000 square feet of exhibition space, immersive and interactives, the National Cowgirl Museum is not to be missed. Open Tuesday through Sunday, and you can visit them online at cowgirl.net. And follow along on social at Cowgirl Museum. Yeah! Do you know what I mean?
Oh God. I hope that I can set a good example, but I think, here's the biggest thing that I realized. If I'm not being authentic to myself, and if I'm staying in a situation where I'm not happy, or it's just not, even if there's nothing wrong, like say it's not like a toxic situation, but say you're just in a relationship that it's not, it doesn't have the romance that it did, or you're just not, it's not gelling in the same way. I think it's important to model for our children that we're not going to sacrifice ourselves in service of creating a picture. Because I think at the end of the day, the biggest lesson that I feel like I ever learned from just my mom that I've tried to kind of input with Luetta is that our kids don't learn because we tell them to, they learn by watching us. So if I'm talking badly about my body, or if I'm not like living in my authenticity and I'm sacrificing just because I'm trying to make something work, that's the pattern that she's going to then see. Oh, I need to sacrifice myself, or I need to stay in a relationship that I'm not happy in because, because I'm doing it out of some sense of for her, right? And I thought that for a little while, but then I thought, isn't it actually better, not only for myself, but for her also, to maybe find another situation where like I have romance and I'm lit up, or like all of the things, whatever they may be that you're missing in that relationship. And then being able to create a dynamic where they can see,
Totally.
you can co-parent in a way that's like, here's your dad, and your dad and I are friends, and and it's not, and look, not everybody has that situation of friendship, and it can take time depending on whatever the situation is. I feel incredibly lucky because my parents gave me, they got divorced when I was 10, but I never had to split vacations. I never had to split birthdays. Like we would
Oh
all
my gosh,
do
that's
Christmas
I
amazing.
was just going
together.
to ask you about, do your parents seem like anytime
Yeah.
I've ever seen on your Instagram, y'all are all together, everybody as a family. I mean, it's so cool. And I feel like y'all as a family see that. Like you and
It
your
was
sis,
amazing.
like you see the love. Like I always love, I think it's so cool. It sounds silly, but y'all all tag each other and like it's really an authentic love for each other.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of siblings don't have that. You know what I mean? And y'all really could have gone like, okay, we were in the limelight, but y'all have stuck together as this crew. And that's unstoppable. No matter if it's family or friends. I think like your mom's best friend, I think he's always in. The florist. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's you all. It's like
Always. Yeah.
and kids see that, Lou see that. Like you want to see a safe space. And I think you've provided that. It seems in your
Absolutely.
family and your parents have done that with y'all where it's like, okay, even whatever's going on, we're each other's safe space.
100%. Look, my highest intention would be that, like, if I like when I find a new partner, if Derek does, like, if Luann has a school show, I hope that everyone can show up. I hope that we can
Totally.
all go to dinner afterwards. I hope that there is an energy, because I think where it gets messy is where you make it about you and your dynamic. I think as long as your focus is prioritizing your kids and what's for their highest good, then everything else, there's a separate place for you to deal with, like, whatever's going on. And yeah, I don't know. I'm so grateful that my parents made that choice. And whenever I've asked my mom about it, she just said that they always just put us first. It was always about us, you know, coming together, and that she was always grateful because my dad is my dad and he will always be that. And I think, yeah, like I just think that there's a way, if we can remove our ego from it and remove whatever, when a relationship ends, obviously there's stuff that occurs, whatever it's
Totally.
grief, anger, sadness, whatever, from that relationship, or the idea and the grief around what you were both hoping for it to be. But I also think that if there's a desire to shift it and move it into something different, it can actually be even better.
Beautiful.
Well, I literally had the chills, sister.
I know.
This is like,
there's so many, you think about it, like there's so many families that are dealing with the same thing without adding all the pressure of being in the press and being like unknown in family and the environment of everybody, that adds so much pressure. So to see that truly staying true to the family dynamic and doing what's best for the kids has worked wonders for you and your family. And it reminds me so much of Tim McGraw and Faith Hill. 3 daughters, and they did I talked to him, I was like, how did you do it? How did you juggle the career and the fame, and your wife's doing the same thing, and raise such an amazing family? His daughters were on set all the time, and it was the exact same thing. It was like, it doesn't matter. Family comes first. You put that ahead of everything else, ahead of your own desires, ahead of whatever, the best for your children, and the outcome, clearly, no matter what your position is in life, will work out. And it's just such an amazing testament to that kind of mindset, but for everybody, I think, with kids to constantly remember and think about and really try to channel. So that's just, I love it.
Thank you
makes me
for
so happy.
letting me ask that too, because I think it is extremely important, especially for young parents, because I think the people struggle with the most too, is because you have that people, half the world's like, well, stick it out, it's not about you. And you're like, then you have people who are like, it's not about you, so make, get out of something it's about the child. So get out of what you need to get out of. So it's
and make it so it's like, I feel like, again, it's like we want our kids to see us in the most like fulfilled, fully expressed version of ourselves. I know as like a, recovering people pleaser, I don't ever want Luetta to learn that behavior from me. I don't ever want her to see me going, oh, well, what I need doesn't matter because, there's something else that's more important. I want her to be able to like walk into a room and be able to go very nicely, doesn't have to be reactive, but walk into a room and go, you know what? I don't know if this situation is working for me. So I'm just going to walk away. It doesn't have to be, this big dramatic thing, but I want her to have that confidence and that value for herself, because I think sometimes too we get into this pattern of like sacrifice and resentment.
I know, it agreed. It was like, good work, baby.
The thumbs up bubble.
Yeah. Where we're like, okay, I'm just going to sacrifice what I want for the greater good or whatever it is. But then it creates resentment that then is just like sitting and kind of almost making us sick because we're not saying what we need to say or, living out the way that we need to live. We're obviously all trying to like set an example and do better than our parents.
Try our damn best.
Do it, but
I always giggle too. I tell Eric, I was like, no matter how great of a job we do, they will blame me for something. So I'm just going to try my best. And that's like, I feel like that is parenting to a T. Is like, we're just going to, and then yes.
We're all going to screw them up eventually.
It's like
somehow.
You really give your parents more grace when you have kids, because you're like, I always think it's like the moment you have a child, you're like, oh, I'm going to completely change. Like everything but they're still like, oh my God, I'm still saying to you. But now I'm like, have 2 people that are like an entity of me that's way more important. It's such a, pardon my language, a mind fuck. Because you're just like, you've changed, but you don't change. So it's such a weird... so every parent's like, yes, I do get it. Though every non-parent's
and you don't get it until you get it.
Yeah, until you get it.
Yeah, you have no idea until you are, and then it's just like, oh my God, you start.
What is like? It's bizarre. Now, do you think I'm taking over this interview? I'm sorry, Eric, and this is like your girl too.
No, I'm just.
I'm so, and I
great.
think it's very different for me. It's because what I learned about you, and when I came on to set. The best way to describe you probably too is like Mother Earth. You're very calming. You're very, but they're like, I'm so opposite. Like you go to me if you want to have a fun time, wild thing, like let's go. Where you're just like, whoo, like it's like you're a very safe space. Do you think too, and I've watched, you are very into, obviously if people have followed Rumer Has It and all about, you're very into natural elements too. Do you think like, were you always, did having a child change that? Your dad's health kind of changed that route of, or was it just something you kind of read into over time Because it just seems everything about you, you are that. It's like this natural aura, and it comes through, and it's such a safety net for people. And I think it's such a special thing. Is it kind of a combination of everything, or is it just knowledge of?
Well, first of all, I appreciate that reflection so much. That's such a lovely way of putting it, and I'm glad that that's
It is. And look at you. I mean, with the trees and the hair. I mean, you're just such a safe. You're such a beautiful spirit. And even Eric said that. Eric was like, "You're gonna fall in love with her because 100%. She's such a."
I just wanted to be a mermaid. I just always wanted to be a mermaid.
Yes,
I think that's
you're a mermaid.
Yeah, that's my life trajectory. And my sister the other day actually came up to me and she was like, Rumer, I just want you to know, that image that you had of yourself when you had the Justin Bieber short haircut and you were feeling really unattractive, and you've made it. You've made it to that thing. And I was like, I was feeling that the other day. Thank you. It was very validating. But, I think I've always, for better or for worse, I can be very perfectionistic and hypercritical. I think there was even a day on set where I called Eric and I was super upset because I had I felt like I had not done this scene well. And I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm trying so hard, and I'm doing this accent and I feel like I messed it up. And so I can be really hard on myself, but part of that has also created this, I've always been a seeker of knowledge. I'm always searching for something. I kind of feel like I'm a pirate or a treasure hunter. I love to do it with little, with the things I find on Rumer Has It. It's part of, I love trying things and being able to find oh, here's the coolest, or here's this amazing smelling thing, or this or whatever. But in terms of the work on myself, I always want to be able to find or heal or work on something and be the best version of myself. And sometimes that maybe can be to my detriment because I'm not ever even prizing myself for how far I have come. I need to kind of slow down sometimes and go, wow, look at where you were. You've made so much progress, and not be so caught up in, all right, you did that, next thing. You're still not good enough. You're still not this enough or whatever. But being a mom, to that question, I feel like there are things that I've always kind of thought about health-wise, I was always interested in different foods, or, I love beverages. I'm a beverage queen. So having different tasty things like that, I've always loved. But I feel like being a mom really, or even while I was pregnant, I started going, okay, what am I putting on my body? What am I putting in my body? And then I've gone down the rabbit hole, you guys, of now these forever chemicals in the toilet paper. That is this
and
new
underwear
kind of
and the tampons. I think you posted that the other day, and I was like, you did say, because sorry, it's too soon, but I don't wear underwear. Never have, never will, unless I'm in Spanx. Eric knows this. And I think you posted something, and I was like, this is why I always giggle, because I've never had a sorry, this is really TMI, but a yeast infection. But I think it's because I've never worn underwear.
Girl, I'm with you. I literally, as soon as I got pregnant, I was like, I don't think I can ever wear
when you
underwear.
posted that, I was like, girl, I think that, and I am usually not, but anything, if y'all don't follow Rumer on Instagram, follow her. You are an amazing, because you're not demeaning. I think a lot of people, when they go the, homeopathic way, it almost can feel like, then you get overwhelmed by it, because you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not, which I think you do such a great job of this is what I do. I like this, or isn't this interesting?
Was that kind of the inspiration behind Rumer Has It? I mean, that's kind of your business, your website, and it's kind of where it seems like you're just sharing your knowledge of what is working for you in your life with other people. Is that kind of what it was all rooted in? I mean,
yeah, I mean, it's funny, I've always loved collecting or trying different things. I always loved trying to figure out, okay, what is the best, face stuff, or this, or, whatever it was. And then I was working on a show, this live theater immersive show, and I was always coming into the dressing room and I was like, oh, you should try this little makeup thing, or you should try this, blah, blah, blah. And the girl was like, you should do this. You should, like, you should make a business out of this. And I was like, what do you mean? Nobody wants to know what I have to say. Like, what authority do I have on any of this stuff? And then, kind of Goop had come out, and I just thought, maybe I'll do this. And so I was literally sitting on Rumor Has It for like 7 or 8 years. But I'm so ADD that I was like, I don't really know how to like shape this into something. I'm such an idea person and a connector. If you were like, I need a chiropractor and a homeopathic person and someone to, like fix my horse's shoes, I could be like, okay, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm these different people and I got you. Or you need some sort of like spiritual psychic healing. Like, I'm your girl.
Nothing
I got
sounds
you.
better.
But I didn't really know. Yeah, I didn't really know how to shape that for myself. And then I met this woman named Robin through a mutual friend, and she helped me make the website. And suddenly it was like my world just opened up. And I finally, I feel like she's like my, right-hand man in this in a lot of ways. I have 2 women who kind of helped me, and I feel like she just got me. She knew how to like help shape my vision into something. And now she's actually helping me with like 2 other business things that I have going on. And I'm so grateful to have found just a team that kind of helps support my like wild, messy, creative vision. But really it was about, just wanting to share. Like, I love sharing and I love being of service. And so being able to share the information that I learn with other people, it feels like it fills my cup so much, especially other moms, or, I'd wanted a baby my whole life. That's all I've ever wanted to be, was a mom. And then career was like always, I'll be an actor, I'll do this. But being a mom just is always what I wanted. And so then when I got pregnant and I was like, whoa, this is way more intense than I pictured. I thought I was going to be like very zen and mermaidy and like totally chill thing, right? And I was like, oh my God, this is so intense and my body hurts and this is crazy and I want to cry every day. And I just felt like, man, there's such a lack of support and community. And then when I really started diving deep into, the maternal health care crisis and just the lack of support with lactation and like so many things just in women's health that are so severely lacking, I was kind of shocked and couldn't believe the deficit of support there is. I remember Eric telling me like a situation that you guys had with Mick, and just even like, the things that
Totally.
are just, there's just a lack of support.
And medical, it's by a book too. And I think every person is seeing now different, just everything is morphing. So nothing is by a book anymore. And you feel bad for like medicine too, because you're like, everything is these categories. But most of the time, things and issues don't fit in those categories anymore, because the more junk's in our food, the more, everything changes. So it's such a catch-22 of what is, you go to these people seeking answers, and they can't give that. I mean, unless it fits it's almost like we go on the computer and you're trying to find the right shade on you, but they can't see you. So you're like, oh, I'm a worm, You know what I mean? It's like, it's the quizzes online is what our medical system actually is. And it's okay, I really am taking over this whole interview. I'm sorry.
No, I'm loving this. I'm loving this.
One more thing.
Yes, of course.
This is actually really important to me, because I'm asking you things too as...
I knew this was going to happen, by the way. That's why I'm so comfortable sitting over here. I knew I was just going to take it in today.
Well, and Eric, and we're going to ask you career stuff too, because I love talking.
This is way more important. This is great.
I love my favorite podcaster with Jen Landon, who's a Yellowstone girlie. One of our best podcasts. The reason actually we started this is I went on a podcast here and I talked about getting on anxiety medicine and how I didn't want to be here anymore. And it in our community, it blew up. And I was like, oh my God, like, why have I not shared? Like, why? And that's why we started. We were like, we need to, and you're the true definition of the glamour and grit in life, because people look at your life or your last name, or they look at me and my family, and nothing can be wrong. Like you have no right or the privilege to, and that's just not reality. Everybody's life is their life. And I remember when Eric and I first sat down, we were flying back from New York and we had just recorded, and I was like, I started crying as I was like, am I ready to do this? Like, am I ready to fully open up? And this is going to segue what I'm saying, because I'm like, you're going to get critiques and you're going to get hate. And it's just, and I stalked your sister one night and I got on her Instagram, my brewski, and I went down a rabbit hole. Talk about a brilliant writer. Your sister needs to write a book. I went down, I mean, like years worth. I couldn't stop because she writes, everyone follow Rumer Sisters too, because one is literally has like the voice of an angel, and the other sister had suffered an eating disorder and really goes through every day, but she writes these paragraphs. They're brilliant. Oh my God. So tell her that, I went down, it was like I was reading a novel one night. I just couldn't stop. And so that's when I felt such in love with your family, because to be so open. And then she has put sometimes the amount of hatefulness that y'all have received. And I'm going to cry because it's just so wrong. And, sorry. But I remember because somebody wrote something to me recently about myself, and it eats me up at night. And I'm like, imagine y'all didn't choose who your parents were. You're born into this family. It is what it is. But the amount of people that don't know y'all, and everyone experiences, anybody that has a following and some type, you're going to get, how have you done that? Like, have y'all navigated that as like sisters, because for me, I remember when Eric first got in, and we've talked about this before, I had to get into therapy because he was on a soap opera. And I'm like, oh my God, you're going to work to cheat on me every day. And then it was like, oh my God, on things they're doing them as like a love interest. Well, here I am, like I got pushed into like a closet one time. And it's just such and once again, a mind fuck. But the way your sister talks about it and the vulnerableness, does that affect you ever anymore? Or is it just kind of one of those things? Because people are so hateful and they think they know y'all because of who your parents are or who you guys are, and because you share this. But I think y'all share for the people who need it, and the ones, and they're usually, that's what's so sad. It's the 1% are like the ones that usually comment, the mean ones. The 99% that it actually helps don't need to comment.
You don't, but I don't focus, but you're never focusing on all of the like wonderful positive comments. You're focusing on the one where someone says something awful. I mean, even that post that I did the other day when I was like sharing that, Derek and I weren't together anymore, I was like, God, Rumer, you're such an idiot. Why would you say single momming? You sound like such a stupid, basic bitch. Like, you can't be more elegant and say this in like a, like I was there. And that's like all I was thinking about and so then to hear then on the other side that the reflection is like, oh, wow, like, thank you for sharing that because of other people. In my mind, it's like, I forget sometimes that the things that I say aren't just like into a void that I'm kind of just sharing with my friends, right? It's like I say something and then
totally,
like, that's there forever. That's there in an article on Daily Mail forever. I can never go back and like edit or change the way that I've said that. And it's challenging sometimes because I'm also just a human being sometimes who gets like caught up in the moment. That's like, I want to share this in a way so that I can feel complete or whatever. But then that moment decision, it's then there for, right? Or, and again, there's like a beautiful side to that and something challenging, like you being able to share about, or Tallulah being able to share about struggles with anxiety, or I think it's beautiful and powerful. And I think what is missing is that vulnerability.
Oh, we got Luetta.
Hi,
Do we have Lou?
Hi, princess. Kids are amazing. I swear they always sense, like, I always know, like, if somebody doesn't have a good vibe, if my child doesn't want to go to them. They just know in 2 seconds.
1,000%.
Well, now we won't go as, like, I won't try. But thank you for being also, because I know Eric's like, oh my God, all the questions. But I just think it's so important too.
Are you kidding me? Like, this is amazing. And most of our listeners are young parents and moms and women trying to navigate and go through all of this. So this is like exactly what they needed to
And
hear.
I think is normalizing. I love it when you see somebody, you're such an entity to people. Hey, girl. You know what I mean? You're almost untouchable. So to bring a reality of who somebody actually is so much cooler. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, she's a person behind the screen. Do you know?
Yeah. At the end of the day, like, regardless of where, can you sit with me while we finish? Regardless of where you came from, and obviously I'm not, naive or blind to the fact that like I've grown up with a lot of privilege in different ways, but I am still a human being who is flawed and messes things up and has crazy anxiety and, overthinks about the things that I say. But I think our biggest superpower is, come here, my love, come here to me, is vulnerability and being able to share that way. Like all the time, I wish that I was like, I don't know, someone like Zoe Kravitz, who's like so mysterious, who never posts photos of her child. Like, I wish that I was this like cool, mysterious person who, didn't feel the need to overshare and trauma bond with people.
I know.
But like,
that's like, yes,
What are
and
you
that's
gonna
my
do?
message
What are you gonna
too. I'm like, it's just too hard not to. Like, I feel like I wouldn't be like what you said, authentic to yourself unless you did that.
yeah, like I feel like sharing for me about my struggle is, or whatever I'm going through, and the good things, like that's just part of who I am. It's like part of the fabric of my being to share and try and help and be of service. And if that means, sharing things that might not be like what you're
Might not
supposed to
be pretty,
share,
but
yeah, like people gave me so much shit for those breastfeeding photos that I posted. And then all of a sudden I got in my head and I was like, oh my God, am I sharing too vulnerably? Like, is this not okay? But then I thought to myself, and a lot of women were on there like, this is disgusting. This is a private moment. This is so intimate. And then I said, in my mind, I was like, but it shouldn't be, because if if my breasts are being sexualized, like that's not my fault. And there's so many women who struggle with this and don't get support. I feel like I want to normalize it because, I had an amazing experience with it and I had an incredible support system to help me out with it. But
yeah,
a lot of people
it really
don't.
is.
If people can see that I'm sharing about, being a single mom and while navigating co-parenting and finding the challenges of that and being brave enough to go, I want something different for myself, because I think a lot of me not leaving my relationship was because I was like, I don't know if I can do this by myself. You know what I mean? I was like, I think I probably would have maybe left a little earlier, but I was just like, you're postpartum, and I was like, I don't know how to
know this life, just me.
do all of this by. Yeah, and even when you have, even though most of it is on the mom anyway.
Totally.
In the beginning, if you're breastfeeding, it is like you said, when you call Eric and you're like, I just need 10 minutes. Like those 10 minutes at night that you get to take a bath or, whatever it is. Those moments feel like, oh my God, like if I don't get that, what am I going to do? Like, how can I function? Are you making a dirt
I know Lou's there, so we're gonna let you run here.
Wait,
I had so many things I wanted to dive into because there are so many facets to you and your career. And I mean, starring on Broadway to your residency at the Carlisle to winning Dancing with the Stars as a non-dancer. That just as a dancer myself, that's just still mind blowing to me. But
I'm waiting to see these dance skills, by the way. I tried to get him to show me them while we were on set on the few days off.
Amazing. No, literally, that's like a giggle. I think the world, we all knew who you were, but I think a lot of the world fell in love with you during Dancing with the Stars. I think, did you see that's kind of where your life really got opened up?
Hi, Lulu. I love that we've got Lou on this interview now.
Look at her. Doing
her first podcast. Got to start him young.
Welcome to the Glamour Grit, podcast. Baby.
Yeah, that was probably one of the most confidence building experiences of my life. because even though also it was like crazy and so challenging, yes, you showing your foot. I like learning a new skill that was not anything to do with my parents was so esteem building because my mom was like, I do not think that you should do this. Like, don't do this. And I was like, no, I'm gonna do it. I want to
After,
learn
were
how
you
to
like,
dance.
oh, I'm gonna
whatever.
go be a dancer now? Was there like, was there?
Of
That's how I
course
would have been,
was there.
100%.
Like, I am a ballroom star.
Of course, I literally bought my horse from the
I
movie
know,
we just did
which
and
is why
became
we
like
are
full
so
horse girl.
alike,
Come
Y'all
on.
are identical.
You give me a taste of like a world or something that just I just go all the way with. And if it comes to like winning something or knowing that like, oh my gosh, I was able to pull that off, I will go to the nth degree to keep pushing and getting and 1 million, which is why I relate to you so much. But one of the things that just like captivated me about you was like your tenacity and your drive and you're like, oh, I'm going to do this, so it's going to happen, and it's going to be amazing, and everything's going to work out. And your ability to then actually go perform, and it does work out, is like one of the biggest things about you that I love so much. What is next for you before we let you go? Like what? Clearly, the sky's the limit. What you put your mind to happens. What would you like to see next for Rumer in the world, in life, in career, anything? Let's go.
Well,
Let's
honestly,
go.
more Westerns. Let's go. 3 goes, baby. Let's go. I feel like I just want to be part of the, the Ennis and what
Wade,
was his
yeah.
character's name
I
package. I
think
want to
they
be
need to
part of
come
y'all's
back.
package.
The Ennis and
Yeah.
Wade, and then add you in like pre-1883.
Yeah. Yeah, we need our own, like
Yes,
scallywags
we can
of
call
the
it
West.
the 1880s.
That's right. Yeah. But, here's the thing. This doing Broken Trail it really pushed me outside of my comfort zone in a lot of ways because, like I'm a little nervous with guns, right? But I want to be a badass. I feel like I have this legacy to live up to that I want to, do great. And also riding on a horse. I had no idea if I was going to be like galloping off in the distance like you guys were on 1883. Like I didn't know what we were doing. And so I was a little nervous, but I thrive under pressure. I thrive when I have a challenge to rise to. I think actually one of the harder parts of life for me is when I don't have like something that I'm doing. I think that's where I start to kind of get low, or if I start to have anxiety or get depressed, it's when I don't have enough that I'm like pushing myself towards. And I don't know, I want to just I love a challenge. I love challenging myself. If I could, like, I always wanted to be in the circus or be in Olympics, when I was a kid, because I think I loved the idea of performing at a very high level. It's probably also why I find talent so attractive, because like people who are good at what they do, there's nothing better. You know what I mean? It's probably very toxic, but there's like, I always wanted to be someone who was like good at pool or good at darts or roller skating. Like I always wanted to be good at random things just because I thought that was like a really cool skill to have.
And I think it's like unbelievable. I mean, I feel like you're the type, I'd love you and your sisters to write a book. But now, I know your sister just came out with an album too, your other sister. Do y'all all sing? Everybody sings? Because y'all have the best voices I've ever heard.
I mean, first of all, she had not one, but what, 2 residencies at the Carlisle? Yes, which is like
insane.
People who have had residencies at the Carlisle are like Elaine Stritch and Cheetah Rivera,
Betty
Sutton
Buckley
Foster.
I saw there.
Yeah, unbelievable. I'm so sad I missed you when you were there. But her voice.
Oh, it's insane.
I heard some clips. Truly unbelievable. Are you gonna keep serenading the world with that voice? Please tell us yes.
Yeah, I'm actually going to Italy and New York to go sing at a couple events in the next like 2 weeks. And so I'm super excited. But I want to write an album, and it's like one of those things that I'm trying to balance like my perfectionism and being so precious with like
and I love that
other side. Yes, I know. Thank you. multitasking right now.
See, this is parenthood to a T, though. This is
care.
life. I'm like,
yeah,
There it is, baby.
See,
right
most
here,
people
guys.
think like all the time that you'll hear my kids screaming in meetings and they think I have like nannies running around. I'm like, no, y'all. They're literally just like right outside the door waiting to bust down the door. I was like, this is life. This is real. This is real life
100%.
right here.
No, it is. It is. And
balance.
we're gonna let you go enjoy the rest of your day with Lou.
Wait, quick question. We end every episode. What is your glamour and what is your grit? It can be your glamour of life right now, the day, and what
Something
is your
that's
grit?
glamorous, great in your life, and then some grit that is you're overcoming or it's just kind of creeping up right now.
I feel like today my
It's
glamour is my
No,
hair.
it's so
I'm having
good.
a
That's the
really
first thing
good
Sandy said.
really good hair day. My house looks like quite nice on this little window. I feel like the grit that I'm working on right now is not like we're not feeling guilty about doing what I need to do for myself, I guess. I think I'm always someone who is like, it's like the people pleasing thing where I'm like, I'm so sorry that I exist. Like, let me just make myself super small so that I'm digestible for everyone. Or, I've always been very conflict avoidant and never wanted to, like ruffle the status quo, or if there's other people that, like if something that I needed for myself would disrupt other people's like status quo or happiness, I always felt like, well, it's on me to be the one to sacrifice, like because I can, or because I think that I can. And I realized that that's not true. Like me, if I'm constantly undercutting my own needs, like it's not going to end well for me. I'm either going to somehow like make myself sick, because that's the biggest thing I would say I've really learned through all of my kind of journeys with I don't know, down the health path and health discovery, is like what you don't say, your body will speak it for you. You know what I mean? In different ways. And I think that's where we see a lot of like autoimmune stuff, like all of these people with all of this stuff, obviously, other than the crazy environmental factors and all this, these kind of things. Like I feel like when you're not being true to yourself, that you're just making yourself sick. And so even though that comes with challenge and discomfort, and I'm having to sit in like discomfort of disappointing people because I'm not doing what they want me to do, and that is the most challenging. But I'm trying to, be self-honoring in the choices that I need to make. But it's
and
uncomfortable.
saving yourself.
It's so
like I'm
hard.
the exact same. It's like,
But it's such a superpower. And as an observer and as, somebody being around somebody like that, it is it's just an amazingly inspiring quality for someone to have. And that's why I love being around you. That's why everyone that I was on set with loved being around you. It is a superpower. So hold strong to that, because you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping everyone else around you. And we're really grateful for it. I'm grateful to know you and to have been able to spend so much time together. And if everyone who's listening loves what you've heard as much as we have, follow Rumer Willis on Instagram. Go to rumerhasit.com. She's got it all there.
She's an amazing follow.
Yeah, and an amazing human being. Thank you so much for
Rumer,
spending this time with us.
So you're stuck with us now.
Glamour.
Grit. Glamour.
Grit.